Welcome to all of you to the second session or part 2 of Vidura Neeti, a session that we have started last Saturday, and it's meant to be a 3-part series. So we are in the second part of that session. So we will start in 30 seconds. Am I audible? Can you all hear me? Yes. Thank you so much, Srinath sir, Srinath Prabhu sir. Thank you for acknowledging that you can hear me well. So we will just start in 10-15 seconds. Okay, wonderful. I think we have enough number of people who have joined. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Narayanaya Paripurna Gunarnamaya Vishwodaya Sthitalayo Niyati Pradaya Gnanapradaya Vibudhasura Saukhya Dukha Satkaranaya Vitataya Namo Namaste. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. At the outset, I would like to wish all of you, your families and friends, Shubha Deepavali. It is a great opportunity for all of us to spread the message of brightness, of knowledge, of wealth, of prosperity all around us. We will talk more about Deepavali towards the end of this session, but I would like to wish all of you very, very Shubha Deepavali. So with this, let us get started on today's session, which is on the topic of Vidura Neeti. Before I start, I must say one thing, but I never expected that this topic will be so popular. Yeah, we have had a record attendance in the previous session, and even now the way the numbers are going up, I'm sure it will be something that is which will probably outnumber the number of people who have attended. And then, of course, thousands of people have watched it on other medium where this is being broadcast. But the topic here and the focus of Atha has never been how many people actually come. Because one thing which has always inspired us is if the Shastras are saying something, must be correct. Simply because we have been studying the Shastra for so many years. And every time we try to question it, we get the answers very correctly. So now we are seeking those answers from a point of conviction and ensuring that we get the right answers. To get the right answer, we have to ask the right question in the first place. So with these words, I will get into the topic of Vidura Neeti. We have explained the context of Vidura Neeti. Dhrirtashtra is caught in a state of utter panic and anxiety one night. And the reason for that is that he has started to realize that the path that he had taken all his life of favoring his sons in a wrong manner and alienating the Pandavas, doing adharma in their against them, has not kept him in good stead. He has sent them away to the Vanavasa, and then he has no way to go. And now they have come back and want to reclaim their kingdom. And he's very, very sure, and Duryodhana has said it in so many words, that he will not part with any part of the kingdom. Now, this is that stage when the war is looking imminent. The Pandavas and Kauravas have been at loggerheads since their birth. So a conflict between the two is nothing new. But the impending war is not going to be just another war. It will leave a trail of unbelievable destruction and only one side can win. It is a Nirnayaka Yuddha, or it's a decisive war. In that context, he has summoned Dhritarashtra, is unable to sleep, and he summons Vidura, his prime minister, his younger step brother, someone who has been at his side all the time and has always been some kind of a friend, philosopher, and guide. The other person, a charioteer, Sanjaya, has given up on him. Just before this episode of Vidura Neeti, he has told Dhritarashtra, that is, Sanjay has told Dhritarashtra that you are my king, I respect you, but you are on the wrong path. And in that moment, Dhritarashtra does not know whom to look at. So it is in these circumstances that he summons Vidura, and then Vidura gives him a string of advice. Now, as we have been focusing on Ataha on three aspects, whenever we look at the Shastras, first is what is the spiritual take from this. The second one is how can we benefit from it personally? That means at an individual level, at the level of our family, of our friends, our personal life. How can that be positively be improved? And third one is professional. Now, if when I was studying the Vidura Neeti about 2.5, 3 years back, I found that it has got very clearly defined rules on which we can use in the professional life, and that is going to be something which is going to be there forever for us. So therefore, when I look at many management theories, many frameworks, they all fall in so beautifully into the way the Vidura Neeti is actually been talking about. And it addresses a very important thing, as we saw last time. And so those of you who have missed the previous session, please ensure that you have watched the first part. I saw many people have already watched it. Many people even asked for this part 1 of this PPT. If anybody is interested, please do mail to us and we will send it to them. Now, when that was going on, what we realized was, oftentimes what creates fear, what creates anxiety, what creates worry in our minds is not very clear to us at all point in time. The cause of what is making us restless is not clear to us. And we did a poll and it was overwhelmingly understood by everyone that the when we are focusing on something like this in our daily lives, we are so busy that we do not have the time to go into the depth. Now, the problem that is always there is always deeper. It is never, rarely is it visible. There could be, for example, somebody is worried. Some signs are visible. For example, that person may look very sleepy in the morning. People say, you've woken up just now, but yet you're looking so tired. Are you worried about something? That's what people ask. That's the visible part. But what is causing, oh, you must be anxious, but what is causing that anxiety is not clear. And when I was studying the Vidura Neeti even more closely, I found that what Vidura was doing was very, very smart. He was not just giving Dhritarashtra a temporary fix to his problem. He is asking him to contemplate in deeper manner. Now, the Vidura Neeti is very large. It's very long. So therefore, we realize that if I start covering shloka by shloka, this probably will take at least 15 to 20 sessions. So therefore, which will be a long, drag for the topic itself. So what we have discussed, and as I presented last time, that we will present all the aspects that are covered in Vidura Neeti, first of all, in a succinct form in this session. And what we will share with you, if you are interested, is a checklist that you can use every day in order to analyze a situation. The checklist will be such that it will ask you certain questions and you can have to give yourself a rating, or you can put a tick or a cross mark. Is that right or wrong in your case, in your specific case? And slowly he will get to know what are the possible reasons why you are getting anxious, you are getting worried, or you're not able to sleep, or any challenge that you're facing. And that will become the complete Vidura Neeti well understood. So it is a Vidura Neeti in action. So with these words, let me start with the sessions that are there here. So he says, who are the people who are successful in their life? So Vidura's point here is, he calls them Pandita. That means someone who is a knowledgeable person, who is a wise person. He says a person who are fast starters, people who start fast. There's a difference between a hasty person and a fast person. Here, Vidura is saying the people who can start something fast, because in their mind, they're clear about the goal. So they start fast. One of the things which always gets us slow is that we are not clear where we want to get to by when. This plan is not clear to us. In companies, in organizations, lack of role clarity is a big stress at work. If the person is clear about what he should be doing and he has some intention of being successful in life, which I think most of us are, then the thing which will be holding you back is the fact that we are not clear. So people who are clear, they are off to a fast start. Second, they are intense listeners. People who are successful are people who will listen. You just look at this. In our life, we are all trained to be good speakers. We are all trained to be good communicators. But in that communication part, there's a very essential part, which is being able to listen. Listening is also part of communication. So listening to topics around us, listening to people around us, listening to people who do not always agree with you, listening to an opposing point of view. All these are characteristics of a good leader. So, as some of you might be aware, I've had the privilege of working in the Prime Minister's National Digital Innovation Council. It's an advisory body. And people often ask, how is it working with the Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji? And one of the qualities which I observed, which many people may not be aware, is that he's an excellent listener. So we have seen that amongst the great people that we see, they are not only great speakers, but they are also great listeners. So being able to intensely listen, and which is very important for the next point, which is we have to internalize it. We might have understood something at a superficial level. Understanding anything at a superficial level, unfortunately, does not yield the result that we want. Then there are people, the other quality is that they seek permission. They do not try to jump. They always seek permission. If they're going to somebody's house, if you're going somewhere to somebody else's office, they seek permission to do whatever they want. They don't jump. They don't assume that they are right. They will always seek permission. And they are very realistic. They do not seek the impossible. Suppose they want to achieve a lofty goal, they will do it, but they will do it first by developing the competence and then yearning for it, not the other way around. They don't repent over lost causes. They are never living in the past. They have learned from the past. Now they want to move. And if something is wrong, something has gone wrong, they just are able to shut it off because they don't want to waste their time repenting over that. The other one, the quality that they have is that they don't fear challenges. Now, if you see very closely, all these things are something that Dhrirtashtra has faulted. That is why Vidura is telling him. Had he been intently hearing what is happening around him, he is blind, no doubt. And that's a very big handicap for him. But the scriptures don't call him blind simply because he could not see. He was a dharmandha. That means a person who could not see dharma. Because For the decisions that he had to make, he didn't really need his eyes. He had very trusted people who were telling him the truth. His wife Gandhari was telling him the truth. Bhishmacharya was telling him the truth. His dear friends Vidura is telling him the truth. His charioteer Sanjaya is telling him the truth. Dronacharya is telling him the truth. So many other people are telling him the truth. Finally, it's Lord Krishna who is telling him the truth. The Pandavas, his dear Pandavas, who always respected him despite any of this, are also telling the truth. But our Dhrirtashtra is unable to hear that. So he is not an intense listener. He is not internalizing. Unfortunately, I started this Vidura Neeti on a slightly negative note in the first session, because I said, look, we might have done this, but the fact is, after listening to all the Vidura Neeti, Dhritarashtra did not take the path of Dharma. After listening to Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna took the path of Dharma. So therefore, there's a big difference. So none of these things, unfortunately, Dhritarashtra followed in our life. So even in our life, if we want to succeed, we have to have these qualities of how do we listen, how do we assimilate things, how do we internalize it, how do we really live by whatever we want, how are we motivated, how we should not be fearing challenges. If you want to go trekking on a mountain, there is a risk involved. If you are scared about every step that you take, you will never reach the top. So the idea is not to jump into haste, but idea is to be prepared and not be scared about things that do not fear. The next set of advice, he says, Pandita is someone who decide and take things to fruition. That means they complete whatever they set out for. Good people are people who will always decide and take things to fruition. That means they will take it to the end goal. They don't waste time. They control their mind. They know the moments we want to do anything positive, it will happen that things will go negative. Our mind will get distracted. Why? Because executing anything requires a discipline. Our mind by nature does not want to be disciplined. That's the nature of our mind. So we have to control the mind. We have seen this in Katakopanishad. We have done some sessions in English in Katakopanishad. So if you have missed it, you can watch it on Ataha YouTube channel. There it is clearly said the senses, the mind is always going in different directions. To get everything back, we have to control it. A person who is a successful person, he can be in business, it can be somebody who is managing a home, it could be a person who is a professional, it could be a father, mother, anybody. The first thing they need to be successful is to be able to control their mind and channelize it in the direction that they should be going in. Otherwise, the nature of the mind is to get distracted. So if your mind is getting distracted, don't be worried. That is its nature. It's unfortunate, but it's its nature. The next thing is always try to achieve a higher goal. They have a higher purpose. And they are not limiting themselves to getting prosperity only for themselves. They're always looking at new things. They're always looking how their activities benefit others also. That is the job of a leader. Other things, next thing that you talk about Pandita is one who does not get swayed by the praise. It's a very important thing. Would you all agree that we all get a little swayed when something positive happens? Somebody comes and praises us, says, oh, you are very good at something. We get very excited. So there's nothing wrong when feeling happy and excited. But this is not about excitement, or it is not about praise. It is about getting swayed. That means, it is basically changing our demeanor. And we say, oh my God, oh, now I'm a great person. Yes, other people will say good things, and the next thing, do not get insulted even when criticized. Right? Most of the time, yeah, I agree with you, madam. We don't know how to respond. So the simple thing that one can do is to just say thank you and say it's all God's grace. It is as simple as that, right? So we don't have to get swayed by praise, and we will also do not get hurt or insulted very easily when somebody is criticizing us. We have to remember one thing: it will never be possible for us to satisfy everybody. As long as we are talking about, we are in the line of dharma and we are not doing anything wrong, and on the contrary we are pursuing a higher goal, it will be fraught with challenges. It will have people who will accept us, appreciate us, and motivate us. There will also be people who will feel that this is not the way to do it. You want to come and tell your company that, look, I want to grow my company by 30%. Now we are growing at 15%. We should be growing at 30%. How many people do you think will agree? Some people will say, yes, we should try. We should just give it a try. Some people will say, I don't know whether we can do it, but okay, if you're doing something, I don't mind supporting. They're neutral. The third category is people say, no way we can grow at 30%. Right? It happens. All of us experience this. So we should not be swayed when somebody says positive things. At the same time, we should not be demotivated when somebody criticizes. So how strong should that be? So Gango Rida, that means it should be as strong as the river bed of Ganga. When Ganga Nadi is flowing, it has got a river bed that is firm, because Ganga Nadi is a very big river. So its river bed is very strong. So it should be as strong and firm as the Ganga river bed. They give that example here. And who is the other person who is a Pandita, who understands a wide range of topics? So this is another quality of a leader. Now, everybody cannot know everything, but they understand topics coming from various sources. They're constantly learning, even in areas which is not directly connected to what they're doing. Of course, there are moments when one has to focus on one thing. But as a leader, as a person who wants to be successful, one should be aware of many other fields and learn from everybody, learn from everywhere, and get and observe that. Right? So you have to arrange a wide array of topics, learn from superior people. Whenever we get a chance to meet somebody who is superior to us, Uttama, as they say, we have to learn from them. The person always should learn. One should never lose an opportunity to learn anything. That whatever we learn may be useful, may not be directly useful, may not be immediately useful. But a learning is always there for us, which we can use it at some point in time. And he learns from all sources. Because he does all of this, the Pandita is someone who is an imaginative person. He's always looking for pure knowledge, because he knows that if he has that knowledge, he can crack anything in his life. And knowledge and intellect, for whom knowledge and intellect, that is gnana and buddhi, are complementary. Right? They're complementary. They're not going in different directions. Right? Knowledge is telling you something. The body of knowledge is telling you something, that this is the best way to do it, but your buddhi is going in another direction. You need a very good reason why you're not using the knowledge, what the knowledge books are telling you. So for example, you look at a pilot who's flying an aircraft. There are very clear statement, there are very clear operating rules by which we apply. The pilot cannot fly the way he wants. If he is making a departure from that, it should be something which is better than that, isn't it? So therefore, in our lives, those texts, our shastras, are the guiding factors for this. If we are not following the shastra and trying to do something else, we need a very good reason why we are doing it. Correct? So therefore, someone who is there, the knowledge and the intellect have to come together. And there are people who are using a time-tested framework. What is time-tested framework? It is nothing but the Shastra Granthas, which are there. And lastly, Panditas are people who have overcome their arrogance. Right? Arrogance is the biggest drawback of a Pandita. If a person has got arrogance, he does not need any other problems. It is like cancer, unfortunately. It will eat up that person all the time. So none of these things are possible for a person who is arrogant. So it is a quality that one should be very careful of. And it is not easy to overcome arrogance. It is not easy to not to fall in the trap of arrogance. Right? The next one. Uh, some of these topics are slightly repeated, so I will not say that again. Um, Despite a person having, it's an extension of that, which is knowledge and wealth. Even if somebody has knowledge and wealth, if that person is able to overcome his ego and arrogance, he is going to become successful. The other person who we should not be like, that is why I think last time Vidya madam had suggested that we use different colors for do's and don'ts. So everything that you see in red is something that we should not do, which is that does not practice but preaches to others. There are people who will give lot of lectures. They'll say you should be like this, this should be like this, and finally when it comes to doing, they will not do it. Now, as a leader, this is a very, very negative quality, because in your leadership position, people are always looking up to you. You'll be surprised how much people observe you. Has it happened to you that it has come as a surprise to you sometimes as to how much people are observing you? You can say in the comment section. Has it come as a surprise to you that people are observing you more than you think they do? I'll wait for your comments. We'll wait. Anyone wants to say something? Has it happened? Yes. So Manoj sir says yes. He agrees with this. Right? So as leaders, we are very, very visible to everybody. People are observing us. So if you are following something and you are preaching it, it's absolutely fine. If you are following something without preaching it, then people will look at you and learn. So they become, you become like a role model. But if you are saying something and not practicing it, that's a strict no. Then the other thing is very strange of an apandita, that means a person who's not wise, is he loves enemies but he hates his friends. It's not a spelling mistake. I have not got mixed up. It's true. Some people love their enemies but they hate their friends. So they have taken all the people that they have who love them for granted, and they're always seeking to pacify those people who are not against them. Or sorry, who are against them, who are their enemies, who are always opposing. They have got some strange thrill to say that those people who do not agree with us, I am going to be looking at them, and somehow I will make friends out of those enemies. But I'm completely ignoring all those people who are with me. There is no harm in trying to reach out to your enemies. There's no problem with that. But for that, you should not be forsaking your friends who are standing by you all the time. So yes, madam, I think Jyoti madam has said correctly. People tend to look at more of our faults. It's human nature, right? Other thing, a person who is a pandita never goes to any place uninvited. That means there is an occasion, he just doesn't drop in without being invited or without there being a context to something like this. Then what that person, a pandita, does, he aspires for something he does not deserve. He knows internally that I do not deserve this, but yet he keeps aspiring for it. There is no, again, please let us be very clear. Shastras are not telling us not to have ambitions. Shastras, on the contrary, ask us to have ambitions. But those ambitions should be something which is for the larger good and for the long-term benefit of yourself. But at the same time, you have to build that competence to be able to do something and deserve it. Right? So building that competence, building that capability, and then aspiring for it is a very good way to do it. How do we do it? Right? Whenever we are looking at our self-evaluation, self-appraisal, it's a simple thing. I think many of you will know this. First, you have to list all the competencies that are required for that role, that are required for you to perform that role very well. What are the skills? What are the qualifications? What are the personal qualities? What are the habits? These four things you should know very well for before getting into anything. Then you say against each one of them, you are benchmarking where do you stand with respect to the capabilities, right? So if you are required, for example, for something you are required to have a certification. If you don't have that certification, it's a gap. So you may say, wait, can I do that certification before I get into this? If the answer is yes, you should do that certification. It will give you another way to be more successful. Somewhere there in our modern education system, it is, we think that a person, when he finishes his graduation or undergraduation, there's no need for that person to learn. Whereas the world changes not every year or every month, it changes every day in our own field. Irrespective of which field you are working in, it would have something new would have come there. So therefore, if you want to do that, you have to develop these competencies. So one of the things that we are always talked about in is that whenever we are aspiring for something, are we evaluating it or not? And one thing that we want to teach in Ataha is our ability to be able to convert whatever the Shastras are saying in today's context. Otherwise, this will become a total academic exercise. That yeah, Vidura Neeti, on a Saturday evening, all of us are sitting. It's a very nice thing. Let me listen to some nice things. But if you want, that is one approach. There's nothing wrong. I will learn something. Vidura Neeti, I always heard about it. So I'm curious what this is all about. But the other way to look at it is, how do I use it as a transformation tool? Because what Vidura was attempting was to help Dhritarashtra understand the construct of his anxiety and help him overcome that. He was not here just to keep him entertained for some time or put him to sleep. His idea was to tell him where he has gone wrong, because till Dhritarashtra addressed that issue, unfortunately he will not be able to sleep. Even if he manages to sleep for some time, that anxiety will overcome. Even if he manages to sleep today, tomorrow he'll have the same problem. And Dhritarashtra is very scared of tomorrow morning, because he knows that every passing day something is going to happen, and that situation will take him closer to the war. Internally he knows that the Kauravas are going to lose this war. His sons will have to die. He knows this. So that is why he is getting nervous. So yes, Jyoti madam, is Vidura Neeti in dialogue form? No. Very good question. This is not in dialogue form. It is in the form, Dhritarashtra has asked the first question, that please advise me on my situation. Please tell me what the Dharma tells me. And continuously Vidura is telling him one thing after the other. So it is not like, if I have understood your question, is it like what was asked in Bhagavad Gita, where Arjuna is asking one question and Sri Krishna is giving him the answers? No, it is not in that format. He just asked one question, and Vidura is presenting so many perspectives on this. If Dhritarashtra had been answering, listening to whatever Vidura is saying, one thing would have been clear to him, that his path is wrong. And not wrong once, it is wrong 100 times. Everything Vidura has done, Dhritarashtra scores is 0 on this. The only thing he has done correct is to invite Vidura, and he is listening to him with patience. That is all he has done right. Everything else is wrong. If you look at this checklist, he is always an apandita. He is always fallen for the wrong things. So hope I have answered that your question, Madam Jyoti Madam. So it always, coming back to this, does not go in uninvited, aspire something that he does not desire, always shares what he has, right? So sorry, I think there's a color coding issue. It should be in black. That's a positive thing, and rest of it I think also is should be in black, which is that he always shares what he has. Whatever he has a habit of giving it to someone else. The individual is responsible for dharma. This is a very important aspect that we learn here. See, whenever we are in an ecosystem, we have got a lot of people around us, correct? But as soon as the onus of the dharma is there, it is up to us. A driver is driving the bus, a driver is driving the car. Everybody else in that car is the passenger. If the car meets with an accident, nobody is responsible other than the driver. So in our life, yes, we will have a lot of people around us. All of them may be, are favorable to us. Some of them may not be favorable to us. Some of them may be trying to distract us, so on and so forth. That may be there. There are people of all kinds. But the person who is a Pandita will always realize that the steering wheel is in his hand. His legs, his feet are on the accelerator, brake, and clutch. If it's a geared vehicle, at least it is on an accelerator and a brake, and the steering is in the hand. He cannot blame anybody else who is there, because we are all individuals. We are all individual souls. We are all individual jivas. Finally, when our evaluation is made at the end of our life, it will be about our dharma, it is about our adharma. It will be about the gnana that we have done. It's about the gnana we have done, not what somebody else has done. Right? So, therefore, that is why I said in the beginning of the Vidura Neeti, please look at it from the point of view of your individual self. And of course, you are absolutely right in imbibing these things, understanding it, and sharing it with the others. No problem. But please use this for your personal evaluation and transformation. If I promise you this, we are going to share a checklist at the end. If you are looking at that checklist and just even go through an introspection honestly, you will find that you will find your fault lines. You will understand which are those areas which you have erred. What is a fault line? A fault line is a part in the earth from where there are cracks, because of which a volcano can erupt. That means that area is weak in the earth structure. So similarly in our mind, in our personality, if those cracks are there, then any time the volcano can erupt, which is what is happening to Dhrirtashtra now. He has so many fault lines that he does not know from where the volcano is going to erupt. But one thing he is very sure, that the volcano is going to erupt, and unfortunately it's going to be a very destructive volcano, right? So the other thing is that the destructive power of an individual, this is the other thing that one has to be careful about, which is that whenever a person is talking from a position of authority, he has to be very careful about what he's going to talk, because every action of his can give a positive impetus. At the same time, it can also give a negative impetus to whatever he's doing. So a person in command, a person in a leadership position, a leader of a family, a leader of a team, a leader of a country, by saying one thing wrong, can actually cause very, very serious trouble to everybody. Somebody, we heard so many times, when somebody says something, later on they realize they're wrong. And they keep on saying, oh, no, that is not what I meant, and so on and so forth. But the damage, unfortunately, has already been done. Right? This is what the Kauravas did all their life. And unfortunately, we all make this mistake of saying things without thinking and evaluating the impact of whatever we are doing. To be very careful with this, because a leader's behavior is very different. That is why he's called a leader. So if a leader is getting evaluated more than the others, it is a fair thing. Don't you agree? Right. Next, what are the things that one should never do alone? I was very impressed by this because I think it helps us answer a lot of things which are actually causing anxiety to us. First one, eating good food alone. So I try to evaluate this and see what could this mean. So a person who is eating good food without giving it to others, that means he eating alone. So why is that person eating alone? Aren't you curious? Because since childhood, we have all been told or we've all been trained that you should always give things to others, whatever you have. So a child comes into the room and says that, look, I'm going to, I have got a chocolate. Immediately we tell them, give it to everybody. Look, there are so many people. You should give it to everyone. That is what we have trained the child, or we should be training the child. And unfortunately, sometimes we also train the child wrong. We tell the child, don't give it to anybody. Everybody will ask for it. Don't come outside. You eat it alone. The child will become a person which is there, which is always looking at these things which are like this. So eating good food alone is not right. Thinking, being anxious, again, this is not meant to be thinking alone. I want some time to think for myself. That is not wrong. But sitting and what is called brooding, exactly what Dhrirtashtra was doing, is not right. Because what is happening when somebody is sitting and brooding, right? He is always thinking about, he's going into a tube. Oh, if suppose he's in a weak situation, which our man is, he's thinking, what will happen now? The Pandavas will come. They're going to ask for this. My son is not going to give. I am going to refuse. Pandavas will not keep quiet. They will fight a war. All my children will get killed. Everything will get destroyed. I will lose my kingdom. I will lose my children. So he's thinking in a negative spiral, and it happens to all of us. So whenever we are sitting and you catch yourself in a time when you're brooding, thinking, again, we should not take these words. Look at the word chintayet. Ekashtartrartha chintayet. That means that person is always sitting alone and he is thinking. That is not right. Brooding, yes, thinking alone after you have got inputs from everybody is absolutely right. But when you are sitting and brooding, don't do that. If you catch yourself sitting and brooding, think about something positive. You can recite a shloka, you can listen to some music, but don't ever sit and brood, especially when you're alone. Then never travel alone. In those days, in many situations, we all we say, oh, I'm a backpacker, I'm a solo traveler. So you must be thinking, what is wrong in traveling alone? In olden times, it was not safe to travel. So that is why it has been told that you should not travel alone. And also, traveling and going away from home, away from your situation, that is the deeper meaning. Alone is not right. Right? If we are a part of a society, if we are a part of a family, then try and go along with somebody. Yes, there may be moments when all of us feel that we should spend some time away. For some time, it's limited is fine. But again, why? Because they don't, the Shastras are saying, never sit and brood alone. Okay. Last one is awake when everybody is sleeping. This is absolutely bang on. So, Jyoti madam, you're absolutely right when you say it's a devil's workshop and chatter will come. Because when you're awake, when everybody else is sleeping, see, first of all, when everybody is sleeping, that means it's a time for everybody to sleep, which is what? Night time. So why are you awake? So if you are awake and everybody is sleeping, you feel isolated, you feel lonely, negative thoughts come to your mind. At that time, the best thing is, if you're not able to sleep for whatever reason, is to do meditation, is to listen to the kind of music which you like. You can get up and wake up and even listen to a pravachana. There is nothing wrong. We have got a lot of content on Ataha. There is a lot of other content, in excellent content in all the channels. Whatever you like, you can listen to it. It will calm you down. Many people say, when I'm listening to something nice, my mind calms down. If nothing else, read some good book. Because to study the scriptures, Parayana, it is never a bad time. Our Shastras permit Parayana 24/7. Yes, you cannot do puja 24/7. There is a time. And it has to be done after taking a bath, etc. But for Parayana, for listening, Shamanam, Madhvacharya says, do not waste even 1 second. Shavanadi vinanaiva kshanam tishtetapi ekvachit, he says. Don't waste even 1 second. So we oftentimes don't tap into these resources. When we say that, look, you can overcome, anxiety by listening to Vishnu Sahasranamam. How many people listen to Vishnu Sahasranamam if they are not able to sleep? And I'm really congratulating those people who do it. If that is the case, please share this with others. What are the tips you are doing to overcome this anxiety? Right? So therefore, try to avoid these things. And especially don't make these things a habit. Once in a while it may happen, but don't make this a habit. There are people who are called night owls. That means after everybody is sleeping, they will wake up and they will sit in a corner and sit and brood. Nowadays, it has become the absolute use and abuse of social media. There are people who start scrolling away to glory, right? That is not helping matters either. During the Mahabharata times, there was no social media. Otherwise, they would have added Instagram and Facebook and YouTube shorts, saying that please don't watch this also. So if Vidura Neeti is repeated in the current yuga, he would have definitely added these 4 things, right? Now, why I keep repeatedly saying this, right, is that we have to adapt this, not verbatim, but to the current situation. Suddenly that Mahabharata, which is looking like a theoretical text about 2 cousins having fought a war, suddenly becomes, opens up right in front of our eyes. It is our life. It is not Pandavas or Kauravas. They were there. The history has happened, itihasa. But unlike other histories parts, where some part may be good, some part may be wrong, the Veda Vyasa's way to guide us by writing this itihasa is to give us this clear picture. So therefore, don't ignore these things. Please try and imbibe these things. There are a lot of things in Vidura Neeti, but if you can pick up even 4 or 5 actionable things to ponder and think about, you will realize that you have made a very big progress. Because not all of us will have all these issues, right? So therefore, be awake. You should not be awake when everybody is sleeping, and one should not be sitting and brooding. Yes. So it is for people who have issues of insomnia. Yeah, exactly. Not for people who are studying or attending the work. No, not at all. Not at all. This is not applicable to. So those people are not sitting and just brooding. They're working. It's absolutely fine. There is no issue with that. This is about people who are sitting and brooding, I said. So I'm not able to make out the name of the person, sir. You are right. It is not meant for people who are. So this does not say, for example, people who are reading something. That's absolutely fine. Listening to music and discourse, yes. My name is Amita Vikrama. Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Amita Vikrama. You're right. If one is working, what happens is he's using his time productively. He's thinking about his work. Nobody can work without thinking. So he is deploying his mind in a right way. Listening to soothing music, especially instrumental music, yes, all these, we use it for our ICU. Thank you so much, doctor. I know, this is something that must be doing that, and to calm agitated mind. Yeah, I'm sure when somebody is in the ICU or in the operation theater, it is a time of anxiety, but people are somehow looking at this and ensuring that you are calm. So use your method, that is not a problem, but do not do these things and get into this problem. I deliberately spent a little more time because I found it very relevant in today's context. Then, very important, very important, forgive and forget. Here our Vidura is talking about what he calls kshama. Now it is, the number of times he has used the word kshama, it is in so many shlokas, is really amazing. A person who wants to rise up in his life, right? We are not able to, they are not able to overcome their past. They will never progress. We have already given this analogy of the rocket. If the rocket has to fly high, it has to keep dropping parts all along. Similarly, if we have to progress in our life, right, you cannot be carrying weight beyond a certain point. I think many of you are living abroad, and even people who are traveling domestically in an aircraft, they all have this common thing. What is that? There is a weight limit to the luggage that you can carry, correct? So if why? Because if the overall weight of the aircraft increases beyond a certain point, the aircraft will not fly. So they penalize you by charging you an extra amount, and beyond a certain point, you can't even pay for it. You can't say I will take an elephant with me along with me in the flight. It's joking. Nobody will do that. But the point here is that if you want to fly high, we have to forgive and forget. And that forgiveness is unconditional. We cannot argue on this matter. Why should I forgive? Forgiveness says that yes, I know that person is wrong. I have just forgiven him and I've forgotten. Why? Because I want to move ahead. I do not want it to have a downward or a backward drag in my mind. I want to progress. So forgiveness is being done for your progress. It is not for other person. You may be feeling very great. Look, that person made this mistake. I will never forgive him. We say that, no? We say that. I will never forgive. I will never forget what he did for me. Saying it for positive things is very important. Whereas what do? We forget all the good things that have happened to us, but we do not forget the bad things which have happened to us. We keep it in our mind. It is eating us. It is eating our capabilities. It is eating and consuming our personality. It is not a positive thing for us. So therefore, if one has to progress in his life, like whenever we sit in a car, what do? We release the handbrake. Imagine you have to drive with the handbrake on. How will the car move? The car will struggle. So some of us, when we are struggling for something, we look at everything. What is causing the struggle? But the struggle is within us. We have put the handbrake and pressing the accelerator. What will happen? The car will skid and car will not move. And slowly the engine will get spoiled, which is what is happening to us. Right? So to forgive and forget is the best way to attain happiness. This is what he says. And only the strong can forgive. It takes a lot of strength to be able to forgive. So do not think that only the weak will have to forgive. But unfortunately, that's the first point, which says that those who forgive are treated as weak. Other people think, you see, that person gave up. He did not want to fight because he is weak. It's the other way around. Let people think whatever they want. They are not going to be there with us when we are in trouble. Are they? Are people, if they are there with you, then they are your well-wishers. But most people whom we are paying heed to are not fully your well-wishers. But yet we feel answerable to them. And we don't feel answerable to our well-wishers. That is what we have seen in the previous section. I have a dentist friend once. And I used to get this toothache about 4 or 5 years back. And once he told me that, see, if you want to avoid this toothache, just keep brushing your teeth every time you eat something. I said, see, if I'm going and in the office, if I'm brushing my teeth, won't it look odd? What will others think? Every time he eats something, he's brushing his teeth. So my dentist told me something fascinating. He said, see, Sundar, when you're getting this toothache, it's very bad, isn't it? I said, it's very bad. So therefore, if those people whom you are worried about are they prepared to share this toothache with you? I know where this was going. I said, no, doctor. Then why are you worried about what they think about you? Right? So sometimes we are so worried about people who are least bothered about us. Right? So therefore, only the strong can forgive. Only those people who are our well wishers should matter to us. Yes, what they think about us, what they feel about us is important to us because they are our well wishers. They may not always be telling us the right thing, that's another matter, but they still are well wishers, and we'll come to some of it later. So, if one has to progress, one has to move fast, one can one has to be strong and one has to forgive and forget. And those who seek peace must forgive. And not forgiving is like carrying extra weight, and you will not be able to progress along with this. Yes, madam, very hard to forget. Yes, sometimes it is. That is why it is not easy. It is not easy. But the amount of weightlessness one will feel, doctor, is something that is very huge, isn't it? Suppose somebody has put on a lot of weight, that person will suddenly realize that every movement is becoming difficult. I was seeing a person in a flight recently, very obese, very, very obese. I think that person is double the weight he should be. I don't know. But every movement of his was becoming difficult for him. Every movement. Even putting on the seat belt, reading something, writing something, moving, sitting, getting up, everything was difficult. Imagine, this is only the weight which is there physically. Mental weight is even more. Somebody may be very, very fit, physically fit, but mentally if that person is fatigued, what happens? He is not able to work. He in fact has the same set of problems that the physically in unfit person has in his physical movement. Why? Because our progress is dependent on our physical well-being as well as our mental well-being. If either one is not working, healthy mind and a healthy body, that's what they say, right? So we cannot give up one for the other, right? Other one, there is a slight change in the way Vidura now starts speaking about this Pandita. He says, see, a person should always perform the role that has been ordained to him. It's called what is called Niyata Karma, which is what Sriman Madhvacharya has said in Vadasha Stotra, Kuru Bhungshvacha Karmanijam Niyatam Haripada Vinamratiya Satatam Harireva Paro Harireva Guruhu Harireva Jagat Pitrumatra Gati. He says Kuru Bhungshvacha Karmanijam Niyatam. That means your ordained duty has to be performed. Let me give you an example. It's slightly exaggerated. Let us say you have been given a particular role in your company. In your organization, you will be evaluated against the goals that have been set for you. You may be doing a lot of other things. People will say, very nice. But are you doing your role? If you're doing your role, performing it well, achieving all your objectives, and doing something else, that is appreciated. But imagine there is a person who says, look, I'm supposed to be a programmer, and my job is to write a code. But what I do is I'm so good at it, I want to teach everybody. So all that person is doing from morning to evening is to train other people on how they should do the role. It's a very positive thing. But when his manager says, look, you were supposed to finish this, have you done it? No, sir, I was very busy, doing this. How will what will that person say? That, hey, that's not your role. So in our life, we have to understand the role that we play, right? And we have to ensure that the role that we are playing it properly. If a person who is there If his role is to be a father to a child, he has to perform that. He cannot give that up because that is a role which has come to him by his own choice. It was his decision to have the child, and it is his duty, therefore, to take care of the child. Right? So, in that context, a sannyasi should meditate, and a kshatriya should die in the battle. This is exactly what Krishna tells Arjuna, that you may die in the process, but you are dying fighting a war, because it's the kshatriya dharma to fight a war for righteousness. It is important for you to fight this war. Because Arjuna says that, see, just now you said in the Karma Yoga that it is better to acquire Gnana. Gnana Yoga is better than Karma Yoga, you said. So therefore, why don't I give up everything and go to the forest and study Shastras, do meditation, and so on and so forth? Why are you asking me to do this cruel thing about fighting this war? Krishna says no. Because you have been appointed to perform these, to fight this war. I think I had shared this anecdote earlier. There was once a watchman who was safeguarding a large fort, and his job was in the night duty. So he would come in the night and look after everything. One day, what happened? He fell asleep. And when he fell asleep, he got a dream that a neighboring kingdom, somebody is coming and attacking the kingdom that he's safeguarding, and they are planning a very big attack. So he gets up in the morning and he goes to the king and he says, King, I got this dream. So king says, okay, thanks for informing us. You got the dream, maybe some premonition. We will investigate. So he sent some spies to go into that country to check whether they are preparing for a war. And the spies come back and say, yes, that dream this fellow has got is right. Those people are planning to attack us. So immediately the king calls all his Senadipatis and says, get ready for the war. Now the enemy does not know. The enemy is planning a surprise attack. But unfortunately, this king already knows. So he waits for them to attack, and even before they have attacked, he goes and attacks them and wins the war. So finally they call this watchman. The king says, very good, you have done a great job. Because you got this dream, we got to know about it. So he takes and gives him money and says, because of you, saved so many lives. And thank you for your work. So the watchman is very happy. Then the king says, you are sacked. The watchman is shocked. He said, why did you sack me? He says, see, you got this in the dream, in the night. That means you were sleeping. You are a watchman. You are supposed to take care and look after and not be sleeping. So what you did benefited us, for which I have given you a reward. But at the same time, you are not fit to be a watchman. Right? So this is a story which brings out in a very simple way what is a niyata karma. So as a niyata karma, we are all ordained to do certain things, and we should always do that. One cannot expect to be happy without performing his basic duties, his fundamental duties. Some people may be doing something extra over and above that, which is good, but the fundamental duties have to be performed. Matur Devo Bhava, Pitru Devo Bhava, Acharya Devo Bhava, Atithi Devo, these are basic dictums. They have to be followed at all times. There is nothing that, in Kartika Masa you should respect your mother. In Vaishakha Masa you should respect your father. No, that is an eternal truth. So for all these basics, if you are not doing, you cannot hope to overcome anxiety. Why? Because you are not doing what you are supposed to do. Okay. Next, this is a beautiful construct which other parts of the Shastras also say. Vidura Neeti has reinforced it in a very simple way. He says that a wise person will always realize that there are three categories of people broadly. One is the Uttama, other one is Madhyama, the other one is Adama. He knows this, and whatever are the jobs that he is assigning to somebody, the roles that he is assigning to somebody, and the expectations that he has from them have to be classified like this. It may appear like a very simple, you know, the advice, but just look at this. Isn't this such a beautiful advice which applies to us so well? Many times we make the mistake of assigning certain things which are meant for a certain category of people to somebody else who are in another category of people. For example, we may make the mistake of giving very complex tasks to people who are not really having the competence to do that. That means the karya or the karma is adama, the karma is uttama, but it is being given to somebody who is an adama in this context. So therefore, many times when you are working with certain set of people, you have to evaluate whether you are doing the right thing. And this is not only for professional work, even for personal work. What kind of expectation should you have from what kind of person? If you have come to know that somebody does not have the capabilities, somebody does not have the mindset, somebody does not have the qualities, somebody does not have the gunas to appreciate great work. It happens to many one of us, right? So we would have done something nice and we are going and sharing it with some people who are inherently jealous. They are jealous of anything that's good that's happening. So when you go and share it with them, what happens to them? They respond by being very cold. I'm sure it has happened to all of us. What happens to us? We say, oh my God, we are very, I'm very dejected. See, that person behaved like this. Whose mistake is this? That person has jealousy, that person will have to deal with it. But in the process, we have made a mistake. Why? Knowing fully that that person has jealousy. Some situations we may not know. But in many cases, when we know that a person has this kind of a drawback, there is no sense in going and telling things and expecting a different result. It won't happen. It won't change. So therefore, in everything that we do, that's the first construct that we should be clear. What am I assigning to whom? Is that the right person? Nothing but our job description. There is a job description, there is a set of qualification, and there is an evaluation sheet because of which we hire people, an interview process. In an interview, what is that person supposed to be interviewing? These are the requirements, and this is this person. How are these two matching? If there's a match, there's a match. If there's no match, that person cannot be hired. Correct? This is what a good interview process will do. Similarly, when we are setting expectations, we have to understand whether we are assigning the right expectations to the right person. Again, a warning for Dhrirtashtra. He should not be getting his lessons on Dharma. He should not be getting his lessons in Rajaniti from Duryodhana. He's a wrong person to do it. He's an adhama. He's not meant to understand these higher level topics. If you let, he may be your son, but you're making a person who by definition is an adhama make all the decision not only for himself, but for the entire kingdom. Unfortunately, Dhritarashtra is not sitting in a single rider car. He's riding a bus. He's riding a bus full of people. And his destiny is very closely associated with the destiny of everybody sitting in that bus. So it's not about his personal decision. It's about them. It's about their security. So all along, if this had been done clearly by Dhritarashtra, he would have said, I will have listened to the Bhishmacharya. I would have listened to the Vidura. Forget about Pandavas and Krishna. We can leave them aside for a minute. Even with the people that he trusts, he could have heard all of them. This is a classic case of assigning and having wrongful expectation. So one of the things you may want to measure is that are you doing this assessment correctly or not? Right? So there could be some miscalculation in this. So again, he's coming back to what all can cause anxiety. Now this is getting into the depth, because these are not clear. So anxiety can be caused by what? Guilt. Somewhere I've done something wrong. If you have done something wrong, it will be bothering in your mind. So till you have an honest paschatapa for that, that anxiety is not going to go. And all of us have this challenge when we have seen with us or others around us, where we see that suddenly people get angry. Have you seen people? Have you realized that about yourself sometimes? Everything seems fine, suddenly that person gets angry. Suddenly that person gets anxious. Why? Because there is a guilt in that person that he has done something wrong. Similarly, if somebody has taken someone else's wealth, that means he has taken something that actually belongs to somebody else. Then again, he's going to be anxious. Third one, if he has misbehaved with a woman in some way, that means his conduct has not been appropriate. He has behaved in a wrong manner, just not just with a woman, but with anybody. But specifically here, Vidura Neeti is talking about misconduct with a woman. And lastly, abandon someone who loves him. He has given up on someone who is loved. All these four reasons can cause guilty, can make us guilty, and that leads to anxiety. Now, who is the person? Sorry, which one? A fourth point. Some clarity, please. Poor and spirituality. I didn't get this, ma'am. I'll maybe at the end we will address this. So abundance. So if you look at Dhrirtashtra, who is the person who is there all the time? He has all these four qualities. He has taken away Pandavas' wealth. He has allowed Draupadi to be humiliated, not just misbehave. It is a attempted humiliation of the highest order. Unbelievable thing. He has allowed it to happen right in his asthana, in his court. And lastly, he has abandoned someone who loves him. Who are they? The Pandavas. Pandavas, Kunti, all of them love him and respect him, but he has abandoned them in the face of his, moha for his son. Next, one should never forsake, or one should never give up on, number one, someone who is loyal, someone who serves you, and someone who stands by you. So those people, they may not have any immediate use to you. They may not be relevant. Sometimes it happens. Let us say you have a teacher who taught you in your kindergarten. Now, whatever that person has taught you, learnt. To some extent, you might even be grateful. But today, whatever that person, if that person comes, maybe he has nothing new to teach you. But that person did you a favor at that time. So never forgive, never forget those people, and never forsake them. Never give up on them. They will always stand by you. When they were with you when you were nobody, so they will always stand with you when you are, even if you're somebody. They love you for what you are. They respect you for whatever you are. So never forsake those people who are loyal, who serve you, and who stand by you. Right? One classic thing that many people might forget are their parents. Right? They say, "Oh, I have grown. I don't know. I have to take care of these old people. I don't know what they have to do. Why they have no relevance. Why are they here?" We hear, unfortunately, all these things happening. But there have been people who have brought you up, and they brought you up because they love you. You were a nobody when they were bringing us up. Were we somebody? If they had decided to abandon us, what would have happened to us? So therefore, these words like Matrudevo Bhava, Pitrudevo Bhava, people who follow these things, after all, what do parents expect from us? That every time we go, we meet them and give them a smile. That's all that's expected. And respect them to that extent. That's all they need. No parent expects anything more than this. Because they love and respect you irrespective of who we are. You may be a top, professional. You may be CEO of the company. For the parents, it doesn't make any difference. You're just their child. They're happy. They're very proud of you. So therefore, while we try to do big things in life, let us start doing the small things which can help us overcome these anxiety. So never did we think, right, that if we have given up on someone who loves us, that also can be causing anxiety. Why? Because there is an element of guilt that is there, that I gave that person up. Okay. Then there is a beautiful thing in the next one, which is on who are those 4 people whom you should never consult. They're very bad consultants. Number 1, people who are not knowledgeable. People who do not have knowledge, there's no point in asking them. You go to somebody because you want a new perspective, you want knowledge, you want some experience that person has. In the case where they don't have that experience, don't consult them. Second one, someone who is very sluggish, they take their own time, they're not active. Such people you should not consult. The third one is lazy in execution. They're so lazy, you should not consult them also. And lastly, people who are casual in their approach, right? And it is called alpagna. It is a dirgha sutra. Dirgha sutra means people who are procrastinating all the time. If that person is procrastinating, you shouldn't be consulting, because he will postpone this also. So you should talk to people who do not have these issues, because they will help you overcome the challenges. If they themselves are stuck in a situation where how can they help you? If they have these drawbacks, everybody will have some drawback, but these are very fundamental things. They will not help you out overcome the situation. 4 things Vidura says show immediate results. First, the goals that the devatas want to achieve. If the devatas decide I'm going to do this, it is going to result. They will achieve it. It will happen immediately. The capability of the competent, medha, the people who have that medha shakti, that means people who have the intellect, dhimatam, that means dhimatam, dhima means someone who is capable, competent, has the strength. If they have that, if they decide to something, they will achieve it. The humility of the educated, that is also seen immediately. Vidya dadati vinayam. So if somebody is humble, you should be clear that that person has education. If that person is not humble, that person's knowledge has some faults. Because the first and the foremost quality of a knowledgeable person is that he is humble. He is not a person who is trying to show off his knowledge. Because a person who knows the knowledge, who has the knowledge, knows that it has come to him because of Guru. It has come to him because of God's grace. He knows that he has a very long way to go. Right? A person who is standing in the seashore and wondering how deep the sea is will not know. But a person who has has gone into deep sea diving, he will come and say, my God, the ocean is very, very deep. Then you say, oh my God, you are such a great person. The ocean is so great, it's deep, and you have gone there and seen what it is. He says, I have hardly seen anything. I spent 3 hours in the deep sea diving. I could not see anything, because what I've seen is such a small part of the ocean. The ocean is so large. Imagine if the ocean itself is so large. Ocean is large. It is not infinite. Correct? So in that case, how will it be if a person has to go to every part of the ocean? That itself is unimaginable. But if one has to go and say that I know everything on this topic, even that is not possible. Even in the smallest area, it is so difficult to know everything. The only thing a person who is knowledgeable knows, that I know something, but I've got a very long way to go. So because he's got such a long way to go, he's humble. A person who does not have knowledge thinks he knows everything, because he doesn't know the vyapti or the expanse of knowledge that he has to supposed to do. Then finally, the destruction of the sinners, that is also immediate. If you are doing something wrong, if somebody performs the papa karmanam, that's what it says, it will lead to instant result. It will lead to a negativity quickly. It will not keep quiet. It will show up at some point in time. Then we come to the power of 5, right? Then we will come into the power of 6, which is that 5 things that you have to always serve. One is father, The other one is mother. The third one is fire. Here, fire means Agni. Agni means, that means a person is always performing the rituals in the larger interest of everybody. That is what is called Agni. Self. One has to serve self, means what? One has to take care. Atma. Here there are two meanings of Atma. One commonly known word is himself. The other one is, of course, Brahma, Parabrahma. And lastly, Guru. These are five things, five people whom we should always serve. Five things that you have to always pray. So this section is all about fives. It is Devatas, our Pitrus, ancestors, superior humans, not just anybody and everybody, the Sannyasi, and lastly, Atithi. Then five people who will always follow you wherever you go. Friends, enemies, ones who are neutral, tatastha, that means they will come with you for some distance. If they like it, they will continue. And finally, dependents, and also people who are dependent on you. They are people who are dependent on you and people whom you are dependent on. They are always with you. Right? These are people whom you should be looking at. Then the power of six. Six things to give up if one has to be successful in life. Right? Sleep, dozing off, that means tukadike, that means somebody who is going into a slumber. Fear, anger, laziness, and procrastination. If you want to be successful, you have to give up on this. So again, giving up on sleep does not mean normal sleep. That means oversleep, laziness. There is a beautiful saying in Sanskrit, it says, Vidya Turanam Nasukham na Nidra. That means people who are seeking knowledge have to give up these two things. Sukham, Nidra. If they're always looking for gratification, if they're always looking for only worldly happiness, and Nidra, that means sleeping too much, one has to have a control about how much he sleeps. We have discussed the problem of people not being able to sleep. But unfortunately, people are not sleeping and not even acquiring knowledge. Right? They say that, the moment I start reading a book, I will go to sleep. So that's a double whammy. So therefore, one should not have this. Then fear. If a person is scared to take simple steps, it becomes a very big negative. Similarly, anger. If a person gets angry for every small thing that happens, his mental balance will be lost. He'll not be able to progress. For everything, he is waiting for an opportunity to come get angry. Laziness and procrastination. Dirgha Sutra. That means keeps on postponing. These have to be given up. Things that have never to be given up. Truth, Satya, charity, that is Dana, being active, not being jealous, ability to forgive, as we have seen, and lastly, courage. These are six things one should never give up in the pursuit of our success. These people will always become very, very successful in their life. So that sort of brings us to the end of today's session. As I have said, the Vidura Neeti has more than 220 shlokas. We've hardly covered a few of them. Now, I want to give the entire essence of Vidura Neeti to you. So therefore, we are creating this checklist. We have started doing that for the first two sessions, and we will include the third session, and we will include all the parts that we have not covered also. Some of these are repetitive, and for some we don't have the time. But we still want to ensure that you have ensured this checklist of yours is actually ready. So therefore, what I would request each one of you is that if you are interested in this, please write us a mail. Not now, after the session on 25th. Please write a mail to us. We will send you this Vidura Neeti checklist. Keep this list with you. And it's not an exam. We don't have to finish it today. Of going through the checklist, take time. Ponder over each thing. and then give yourself a tick mark if you feel you are on the right path. If you're not sure, then you may say, okay, no, wait, I have to think. Or the other one, no, on this point, I'm faltering. In that case, we will ensure that then you will come to know. Once you fill up this entire checklist, you will be clear where you stand and what is possibly causing us anxiety. And don't be surprised if you get a lot of surprises. So, quick word about Ataha. We have been active now this year. We are completing 21 years as Madhvacharya for the youth and Ataha. And we have WhatsApp groups. Many of you have joined. In case you have not joined, please join our WhatsApp group. We use it to publish any content that we have. We have an active Instagram channel where we are publishing content that can be consumed in a short period of time, especially explaining the meaning of many rituals. Sorry, that is there. Please scan this. Then YouTube channel is there, which many people who will be watching this after the recording will definitely be able to watch. I think many of you have done it. Please subscribe to that. Then there is an email that we have. You can write to us for anything that you might need. Okay. The other one is that many people have asked us whether they want to attend regular patha, the Shastra Patha. So our Guru, Dr. Vyasanikare Prabhajanacharya, is conducting this every day. So if you want to join the WhatsApp community, please do that. It's a very, very active community. Every day, Vinay from his office is helping us all join that. So every day you will get a link on your WhatsApp, which you can click and join for the live Patha. If you're not able to join at that point in time, you can the recording will be sent to you later. It's in the form of a video book, very interesting. As Acharya is speaking, the Sarvamula will scroll next to him. So it's a beautiful presentation. Don't miss it. And if you have not joined the WhatsApp group and you have not attended, no problem. All the previous recordings are available. It's a beautiful format to really understand Madhva Shastra in detail. So please be part of this community. The podcasts that we have been talking about have got published. We have already shot the next set and we'll be going live with some of them very soon. I also wanted to share that in the coming months, the Sri Venkateshwara Bhakti channel of the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam has asked me to record 3 episodes in English about the life and works of Sri Vijayadasru. So in the Dasa Chatushtaya, that means the 4 quartet or the quartet of the Dasas, Haridasas, Sri Purandara Dasa, Gopala Dasa, Vijayadasa and Sri Jagannatha Dasa form this quartet because of their immense contribution to the Haridasa Sahitya. So there is a live session that will happen. I will let you know the exact timing, but the Vijayadasara Aradhana Mahotsava is on the 30th, 31st of October and 1st of November. So it will be live on Sri Venkateshwara Bhakti channel, Kannada. So please watch it. This session is going to be in English. The other one is going to be on the relevance of Utthana Dvadashi. So the date is wrong. We'll change it. It has to be on the date of the Utthana Dvadashi itself. So this is one episode which is going to be again in English. So the next session of Ataha live series of learning the Madhva Shastra in English with Vidura Neeti, the concluding part 3, will be on the 27th of October. 25th of October. Again, I've got these dates wrong. Sorry. 25th of October, next week, we are going to be concluding this. So, yes. Sir, this check, where can we get? So you have to write to us on this email ID and we will send it to you. This email ID, sir. If you can write to us on this, we will send it to you after the session on the 25th. Then is this TTD talks on. So what happens with them is that they don't upload anything on that on YouTube. It will be live and it will be available for the next 24 hours. So we are requesting them for the recordings and we will put it on our YouTube channel as it is very soon. But that will take some time because they have to download the recording and give it to us. But this will be done by us. So please, if you are missing this, please do attend it on that day and you will find the recording. So I think we are on the top of the hour. If there's any question, please do write to us. We'll be happy to do this. Can you make separate and important Neeti in separate? So, one thing is, Vidya madam, the challenge that we find is that we may are not able to decide what is mandatory and important, because for different people, different things could be important. And in the Vidura Neeti, there is no emphasis on what is important and what is not important. So we can't make the decision on behalf of the great Vidura, and we cannot also make a decision on your behalf. So we would like you to make the decision. This one, as I said, the entire checklist may not be relevant to everybody. So if you find something which is totally off, you can give yourself a tick and say that on that matter you are fine, right? So you will, that heat map about where the issues are. Yeah, fortunately for us, we are all normal human beings, and we have not done anything so right or so wrong. Either way, we have not done. So it is not that we have thousands of problems to solve. It could be a rather small problem which could be causing more damage than it should, because we have let it. Catch it and nip it in the bud, as we say, then it will not become such a big problem, right? So that is one thing, is the checklist where we can, okay, this fourth point was in the slide with sannyasis, kshatriya, wealthy, their karmas. Can you make no, I didn't get this. I didn't get what Dr. Jyoti madam is saying. If you could clarify, it's fine. Otherwise, please do write into us, right? So, of course, before I close, I have one request. We have after the next session, we will want to start with another new topic. We are always looking for milestones in the great scriptures that we have, and we want to start with something which is of use to you. We don't want to sit in our office and then decide what could be good for you. So please, this is my humble request to all of you, please do suggest which is the next topic you want us to cover, right? So thank you so much, and we will see you in the next session on the 25th of October, Saturday, 9 p.m. for the concluding session. Thank you so much, and of course, once more, Shubha Deepavali to all of you. Poor should pursue spirituality goals. Yes, of course. Poor should pursue spiritual goals. Thank you so much, and we'll see you so much. Namaskara.